Okay, so what you'll need for today's class is a few props. I sometimes am improvising, so you might not need all of these, but basically it'd be really handy to have a chair, a flat-seated chair, um, a bolster, a belt, a block, and a blanket, and all of those. And the theme of today's class is about balancing and the qualities of balancing in standing poses in particular. And something that I've discovered very late in my yoga teaching called motor planning, which means that you have to do a bit of planning to be able to do standing poses, one leg, kind of balancing on one leg, um, to be able to keep to your center of gravity and not fall over, basically. Okay, so we'll begin with a little breathing exercise that we like to do. So interlock your hands, lift your elbows out to the side, and bring your fingers underneath your chin. This is a good start because it reminds you to bring in good posture. So lengthening up, inhale. Exhale, push your hands out in front of you, straight arms. Inhale, raise your arms up towards the ceiling, stretch away. Exhale, bring your hands behind you, interlock again, throw your shoulders back, lift your chest, and then return to start with your hands just onto your legs. Pause. Let's go again. Inhale, hands interlocked underneath your chin. Exhale, pushing out. Round your back a little bit. Inhale, go up. Exhale, throw your arms back behind you. Interlock your hands. Exhale, release back to the center. Two more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, hands behind you. Throw your shoulders back. Inhale. Exhale, hands to legs. Last one. Good. This time with your hands behind you, we can do a little rotation to prepare your back. So bring your hands around to the left side where your left waist is. And then your hands are interlocked and placed onto your left waist. And then just tilt your head a little bit to that side, to the left side. Come back vertical. Hands come to the right side. You're still facing directly towards me. Dip your head towards the right shoulder. Back up to center. And then release. And we'll come onto the mat and we'll do our regular warm-up exercises. So take a position on your mat with your legs bent, lying on your back. Okay, and then take a moment now that you've shifted onto your mat, lying down face up, with your arms just a little bit away from the side of your body, and give time. We always want to give time to consolidate what we're doing, so we're actually aware of what we're doing with our body in space. So feel the back of your body make contact with the mat. Maybe do a little hip wiggle so that you can feel especially your sacrum onto the floor and the shoulders and shoulder blades, and nuzzle your shoulder blades into the mat. And that's a good beginning. And then lift one foot off the floor, that knee towards your chest, other foot off the floor, knee to your chest. Hold at the front of your knees where your patellas are. And then let's work with the breath again. Exhale with a little bit of a squeeze, knees to chest. Inhale, move your knees away from you. Exhale, bring the knees in. Inhale, knees out. So instead of making this just a kind of routine movement, perfunctory movement, Feel into what you're doing, and especially through the abdominal area when you bring your knees in. So there's a little squeeze there that is good for the digestive organs and the organs of elimination. And then you could continue without using your hands onto your legs and just feel what that movement feels like. And when you did that, you probably did a little bit of that motor planning that allows you to keep the core area strong. So when your hands free, you have to work a little bit more to keep the back in contact with the floor. Last one, knees in and knees out, feet to the floor. Good. Pause there for a moment and then have your feet and your legs all the way together and merely, and for rotating your spine, drop your knees to the right side, look to the left. Allow this to be a small movement. And as you're doing this, you can build it up and go a little bit further each time. But with that idea of planning what you're doing and creating stability, as you take the knees to one side, keep the opposite shoulder and shoulder blade on the floor. Still working with your breath here. Knees to the side, exhale, bringing them up, inhale. Good. Let's try the same movement with your feet apart. So if you step your feet out at quite a distance, as wide as your mat, and then your arms out from your shoulders. Then this time, knees go to the side, and it's a little deeper movement. And where is it that you're feeling that? Feel into your own body. For me, I feel that as a really nice outer hip stretch. Those muscles can get really tight. All right, and then let's finish and knees up again. And because that was such a good movement for your hips, maybe we can bring the upper back into it now too. So as you take your knees to the right side, drop the knees over to the right side. Let's take the left arm overhead alongside your left ear and duck your chin in slightly towards your left armpit. And the intention here, and you can probably feel it, is to stretch that whole left side of your body. And in reverse, and folding your left arm down and extending your right arm overhead, and knees to the left side, head towards the right arm. Good. And then let's go one more time. And as you take your legs over and stretch your arm, then do a little more exaggerated movement of rolling to the right, if your body will allow that within your limits. So you're almost onto your right shoulder and the left buttock is off the floor. Good. And that was to the right, and now we go to the left. Good. And then bringing the arms back down, stepping your feet back to just hip width. And now it would be very good if you had your block handy to place between your knees. If you don't have that, you could put a cushion between your knees. Okay, and once you've done that, feet on the floor, knees pressing. Actually, I always say knees, but I mean the inner thighs. So just a little bit above the knees on the fleshier part of the leg. And then pressing against the block switches on your inner thigh muscles, your adductor muscles, and allows you to bring weight to the inside of your foot. So we're setting up for some safe back bends. And you could just do a few pelvic tilts, tilting the front hip bones away from you, towards you. Just rolling like a wheel on the sacrum, towards the back waist and towards the tailbone. And then let's take the pelvic tilt to lift the hips off the floor. So tucking under the buttocks, lifting up. Keep the muscles around the tailbone a little bit more relaxed. And then rolling down to the floor again. And now that wheel is a little bit bigger and rolling from the mid-spine and down to the tailbone. And let's do a few of those, lifting up. Feel your feet firmly planted. Even better if you're on the big toe and the inner heel with the arches lifted. And we're going to do in total about 3 or 4 of these. And then for the last time that you come down and you've got your back body resting on the floor again, soften, release the weight of your body into the mat. And then let's take the block away and move over into all fours kneeling position. And set yourself up so that when you're on your hands, that you've got a nice straight line from your shoulders to your wrists and nice spacing between your fingers without tension in your hands. Then you've placed your knees right underneath your hips and the front of your ankles onto the floor. And then working with the breath again, so important here. Exhale, duck your head in towards your chest, lift your spine up towards the ceiling, round your back. Inhale, dip your spine towards the floor and look out a little bit out towards the end of your mat or towards the horizon. And let's go back between those two movements with the breath. Exhaling, the navel lifts up. Inhale, the navel's still firm, but you're dipping through the upper back mainly. And in those probably very familiar movements of being able to move your spine through flexion and extension. Okay, nicely done. Let's then add another element here. So pause where your spine is in neutral and parallel with the floor. Keep that firmness through your abdominal area so the belly muscles aren't dropping towards the floor. And then balance on just your hands and your left knee. Lift your right knee off the floor and bring it towards your chest. Round your back again, head towards your knee, and then inhale and extend the leg back behind you. Exhale, knees come in, and inhale, the leg extends behind you. Good. And just one more there. Knee to chest, knee to the floor, and then balance equal weight on both hands, on both knees. So, with a little bit more planning this time, see if you can avoid when you lift your knee to your chest, swinging your right hip to the right. So you work with the outer hip muscles, keep them firm against the hip bones, the outer hip bones. And once you're stable like that, let's begin. And bringing left knee towards your chest, extending left leg straight behind you. Good. Feel those two movements happening at the same time. So the flexing and extension of your spine and your hip movement as well. Good. Pause there. Let's take time to give your wrists a rest and allow the buttocks to come back towards your heels. Bring your forearms to the floor. Turn your palms to face the ceiling. Open the spacing between your fingers and give the palm skin a big stretch from your little finger to your thumb. Good. And then back. So come on up to standing while we can. Okay, what we've been doing over the last 4 weeks, and this is the fifth week of working on balance, and particularly in some of the one-legged balancing standing poses, we'll just review a really great exercise that I think we can all do every day to improve our balance. Yes. And I'm going to mute you again, but if anything happens, just start waving at me, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, so standing with your feet slightly apart, and just a little bit, maybe 2 inches apart with your feet, your arms loose by your side, relaxed in your shoulders. Then bring your hands up onto your hips and create a heel rise and come up onto the ball of your foot. When I do this, I need to do my own little bit of motor planning here so that I stay towards the inside of my foot on the big toe side. And then lower your heels. Notice if you tensed up your shoulders to do that, your shoulders won't help you lift up onto your heel, your ball of your foot. And then coming up again, breathing all the while. And exhale down. Let's add arms to this too, as long as you're reasonably successful in the movement. And when you come up, you've just given your center of gravity a bit of challenge to raise your arms. So keep your weight on the big toe side of your foot and exhale down. And once more, and arms come up and heels come up. Good, and you're still breathing. And exhale down. Good. So I think for me, and having had double hip surgery, but long ago now, I still have to keep working on my balance and on my hip muscles. So that's a good everyday pose for me. Then another one is to stand on just your right leg and place your left foot in front of your right foot. So you're heel to toe, left foot to right foot. If it's helpful, then you can bring your tightrope walker's movement into it, arms out to the side. And then switch, and it's right foot in front and left foot in back. Good. Let's go one more round each one. Good. Feel the inner thigh muscles, the outer hips working to support you. And then last one. Good. And then relax your arms down. Good. Give your legs a shake out. Good. And then have a wall space that you can use to stand side on to and be at a little bit of a distance, say 10 centimeters away from the wall. Let's be right side facing the wall, and then raise your right arm and place your right hand on the wall overhead. Good. Switch your balance so you're able to stand just onto your right foot, and then with a little bit of planning, so avoid moving your right hip into the wall. Keep your right hip into your body. Lift your left knee towards your chest, out to the side for tree pose, Vrishkasana, and place your left foot onto your right thigh. If you've still got a little bit of a lean in towards the wall, see if you can right your balance back to center, and it'll help to press your right foot to your left foot, right leg to your left foot to your right thigh. Perhaps you don't need the wall for support there. Or to challenge yourself a little farther, you can bring your both arms up and join in prayer pose overhead. Good. Any wobbliness, firm your base, the inside of your right foot, that left foot against the right thigh press back. Beautiful. And then release and change over left side to the wall. Good. At a little distance from the wall, left arm up. Place the flat of your left hand against the wall for support. Good. Plan ahead, your motor planning. Keep the hips firm to center, the weight on the inside of that left foot. Raise up your right knee. Take the right knee out to the side. The wall's there for support, and it's quite safe and comforting to know that it's there. And then you can work through strengthening the muscles that support you. So right foot against the left thigh pressing against the right thigh. Squeeze the hips into the midline of your body. And if there's a point where you feel steady enough, then both arms up. Good. And then release. And continuing with tree pose, Vrishkasana, turn to face towards the wall. Now my wall does not have a focal point, so it's just a white wall. So that's a challenge in itself. So keeping your balance on 2 feet to start with. When you're ready, bring up your right foot to your left thigh. You can use the wall for support if you need to, at least in the first stage, or free balancing. And then hands to prayer position in front of your chest. Good. Notice any fluctuation in your breathing. And then change sides. Good. So working slowly into the pose. Sometimes if you're working too quickly, you lose your balance and then it's hard to recover it. So it's go easy and keep your balance along the way. Relax your shoulders, relax your facial features. And you might do just what I did, which was tipping over to the side. And when we work with these movements, we want to keep sustained effort. So even if that happens, then come back into it again. And steady, steady. And then release. And then moving away from the wall, give your legs a bit of a shake out. All right, take up your chair. And for safety's sake, have the chair up against the wall. And we're going to take up, we haven't done this in the previous weeks in balancing, big toe pose, and we'll do a modified version of it. So standing and facing towards your chair and balancing just onto your left leg, you can bring the right knee up as you did for the tree pose, and this time place your right heel onto the chair. Balancing on your left leg, that's the weight-bearing leg, and your right heel onto the chair, on the seat of the chair. Good, and then steady your balance. And keep the hips into the center line of your body, and then raise your arms up. The arms raising up changes the center of gravity, so see if you can correct for that by using the outer hip muscles, the inner thigh muscles into center, and then release. And folding that leg down, stand on your own 2 feet for a moment and consolidate. See that your shoulders are relaxed and your face, the expression of your face relaxed. And then balancing on your right foot and planning ahead. That leg's your weight-bearing leg, so keep the footprint firm, and then lift up your left knee and place your left heel onto the chair. Good. So left leg is straight, and when you're steady in your balance, and probably not before, raise your arms up. Vertical. Good, steady balance. Come back to regulating your breath. And then lower your arms and lower your legs. Good. Give your legs a little bit of a shake out. And if we take the pose to the side, turn so that your left side is facing towards the chair and the wall. You might start with your hands onto your hips, 2 feet on the ground, feel your 2 feet on the ground, and then balance on your right leg. Lift your left foot onto the chair and out to the side. For some reason, this side version is much easier for me today than the straight on. And then steady balance. Let's do a sideways bend. And then place your left hand palm up onto your left leg. Lean a little bit out in that direction. Go easy because it's a hamstring stretch too. And bring your right arm up. And then overhead towards the wall and the chair. Good. And then straight up and fold that leg in gradually and left foot to the floor. Good. Reverse, right side to the wall. Standing steady on your feet and then lifting your right knee and placing your right heel onto the chair. When you look at your right leg, just take a moment to do that. It's not at a right angle to your hip. That's kind of shorthand that we use sometimes. But the right foot is a little bit in front of the front line of the body. So in that position, then steady, good balance again on that standing foot, good posture. Right hand onto your right leg, palm upwards. Take a little dip to the right side. Feel that really lovely stretch through your left waist, and then bring the left arm overhead. Just another breath there. And as you come up, releasing the arm down and then your right foot to the floor. Good. Take a moment for a modified dog pose stretch as long as you got that chair handy, and bring your hands onto the seat of the chair. Good. So I'm facing the chair and standing at about a meter's distance from the chair. Just look where you placed your hands and have the palms flat to the chair. And then step back until you see that the legs are on a slight diagonal. And it gives you space to stretch your shoulders. And even better, if you bend your knees slightly, lift your heels up, move your buttock bones back, and stretch through your wrists, through your elbows, through your shoulders, back towards your hips. And then keep everything that you've done and slowly lower your heels. Take a walk in And inhale and come up. Okay, nicely done. And then Ardha Chandrasana is half moon pose. And we've been using the chair for this pose too. So starting side on to the chair with your left side facing the chair. Turn your left foot towards the chair, turned out at 90 degrees, and step your right foot back. Good. Bend your right knee a little bit and place the palm of your left hand onto the chair. The left arm is straight, right hand, right hip, and then slide your right foot in a little bit. So at this point, you've got 3 points of contact, your left hand, your left foot, and your right foot. And then as you lean in towards the wall, begin to lift that right foot off the floor, your right leg off the floor, and extend the right leg behind you. If you're too close to the chair or you've placed the hand in an awkward spot, then just come down and shift your position. While you're there, you might be able to take that right arm up or even lift the right leg a little higher. Good. And then fold your arm in, fold your leg in, right foot to the floor, come back up. And second side, and facing right side towards the chair. Turn your right foot towards the chair, turn it out, turn your left foot back, or take your left foot back. Your left foot's a little facing towards your right foot, and then left hand, left hip. Bend your right knee a little bit and reach out and place your hand center chair. And then sliding that left foot in for your balance and raising the leg slowly. Notice at any point when your breath becomes irregular, and do what you can to steady your breath, and it will help you steady your pose. And then if you find that steadiness, then raise up the left arm and possibly raise the left leg a little bit higher. Good. Release your arm down, release your leg down, bend your front knee, push back, come up to standing. And let's go one more round. With your left foot facing the chair and your right foot slightly turned in, about a meter's distance between your legs. Right hand, right hip again. Bend your left knee, place your left hand onto the chair. Slide that back foot in. Steady balance on the standing leg with a little bit of planning this time as you raise your right leg, little by little straightening your left leg. But keep the left front thigh muscle very strong for the safety of that left knee. And then balancing and right arm up, right leg a little bit higher. This time use your buttock muscles. You might find that you just lift up a little bit more when you do that. And releasing and happily coming down and to the other side. Just stage your entrance into the pose, bending the right knee, right hand to the chair, sliding the left foot in. Taking those stages and not skipping over them will allow for more success. And then on this side, feel what that's like to use your buttock muscles again. Bring the buttock muscles towards the pelvis. And then left leg down, reach back, straightening the right leg, and coming all the way up. Good. And then your modified dog pose again. Both hands onto the chair. Step back. Feel your whole footprint onto the floor and then stretch away through the shoulders. Feel like your whole body is tapering as you move your hips away from your ribs. Good. And then we walk in, inhale and come up. And good work. And for the time being, let's just find that free space on your wall and face towards the wall. And bring your hands onto the wall just out from your shoulders. So hands in line with your shoulders, and then start to step back until your arms are straight. So your arms are on a slight slant, but your legs are directly in a straight line. So your hips over your knees over your heels. Good. Let's do a little movement and bend your knee and transfer your weight, bend your right leg, transfer your weight to your left footprint. And then notice we have that tendency to create a lean towards that side when we raise the leg. So draw the left hip into the body, keep the weight on the inside of that left foot, and then take the right knee back behind the line of the body. You're going to keep the knee bent. And then bring the knee back. Just a really simple exercise to strengthen the gluteus muscles on the outside of your hips. So the knee moves out, the knee moves back, and keep your shoulders level. It's easy to lift the right shoulder when you're standing on the left foot. Okay, good. And then right foot to the floor, steady. You might have created that list to the side, so come back to center directly. And then from here, lift your left foot off the floor. Your knees are in a line. Good. If you've leant to the side, draw the hips closer into the midline of your body. And then left knee away. And back alongside its mate, the right knee. Left knee back, pushing back. Feel a little bit of resistance when you're pushing back. And one more time. Good. And then left foot to the floor. Take a walk in. Pause for a moment. Give your shoulders a shake out. Give your hips a little bit of a shake out. And we're still facing the wall. You're going to place your hands on the wall now, out from your hip bones. So kind of at waist height. When you place your hands onto the wall, use all of the surface of the palms for support. And then step back. Sometimes this is called modified Uttanasana, where your spine is parallel with the floor. So here we'll work on Warrior 3 pose. Keep the weight onto the left foot. Lift your right knee towards your chest. And then extend the right leg behind you. We did this in cat-cow pose. Right leg comes back behind you, and you're lifting it and stretching it back. Then fold that leg in again and place your right foot on the floor. Good. So try as I am. I still have that lean out to one side. So planning ahead, that motor planning. Keep your weight on the inside of your right foot. Bend your left knee towards your chest and extend the left leg behind you. Good. And if you did lean, then draw the right hip into the body again as you extend the left leg. Level your shoulders and then fold the leg in. Replace your left foot next to its mate. Pause. Let's start all over again with the right leg lifting. But if you can, come up onto your fingertips this time. I'm just going to take a small step back because I've lengthened. And then bringing that right leg back behind you. Now you don't have to go for gold here. You can keep the leg wherever you take it back at that height. That's fine. And then once you're there and you're steady and you're balanced, see if you can raise the leg a little bit higher. With your fingertips onto the wall, see if you can lighten the pressure towards the wall so you're more moving towards free balancing. Bending your right leg in, right foot placed next to the left foot, and then transfer your weight left to your left leg, straighten your left leg behind you. And now you're working more with your body sense. Can you feel into any distortions through your shoulders or your hips? The last part, you might be able to, keeping the standing leg a little bit flexed, the right knee a little bit flexed, then can you lift that left leg a little bit higher? Left foot towards the floor, take a walk in. Reverse your position so that your back is to the wall. Step your feet out about 30 centimeters from the wall and separate your feet, and we'll take a relaxed Uttanasana here. Soften your knees and drop into a forward bend. You can hold on along your legs, shin bones, ankles, or hands all the way to the floor. Keep the contact with the buttock bones to the wall. Feel supported there, and let your shoulders relax. Good. And then quietly flexing your knees. Bring your knees over your ankles. Bring yourself up. Straight legs. And move out from the wall. Okay, good work. And there's an opportunity now for us to do some seated balancing poses. So have a seat on your mat. And come forward on your mat so you've got a free space behind you. And then sit up with your, so if you normally sit on a folded blanket or a cushion, you probably won't need it here, but you could keep it to the side just in case. And then seated on your mat, bend your legs and have your both feet on the floor. We have that instinct to hold our legs because it helps us sit up. So that's a good instinct. Fold your arms so that your arms wrap around your legs. And then draw your chest up, front chest lifting. Then bring your hands around the backs of the legs, so just behind your knees, and lean back a little bit. Step your feet back as you do that, and even lift your heels. So you can tell your body is moving towards balancing, and with a little bit of motor planning, find the place where you're not all the way back on your tailbone, nor are you towards your sitting bones, but you're just balancing somewhere in between. And then reach on the inside of your legs. And I don't know if this is true for everybody, but maybe it's short people. I can hold my big toes here, or you can hold your shin bones or the front of your ankles. And then find that balancing point where you lift your heels and start to straighten your legs. If you tilt back and you roll back onto your backside, don't worry about it. Come back into the pose. Always good to work in yoga postures with sustained effort, so not giving up. And then from your extended legs, if you're able to balance there, keep working at it, then open the legs out. These are like flying splits. And then folding the legs back to center, bend your knees, and bring your feet back to the floor. Extend out your legs. I think we should have one more round, and take your time with it. I might be a little bit quieter here so that you can quietly find your own balance point. And step by step, beautiful. And then releasing from the pose, legs straight out. In Dandasana, take a moment and sort of tidy up your Dandasana. So legs in a straight line and together. Bring your hands back behind you. And then with your palms or your fingertips pressing down, just a little pressing forward. Press your chest forward. Press your legs out. Good. And the last of the balancing poses for today is in a side lying position. And it has a lovely name. It's Anatasana, the reclining Buddha. So I'm going to take this reclining position on my right side and lie along my right side with my left leg on top of my right. And then coming down onto my right arm, flex the elbow, and cradle your head into your palm. So the side of my head where my ear is cradled in my palm. And then second stage, once you're balanced on that side, you're balancing because you have your left hand on the floor in front of your left chest, in front of your chest. And it gives you the sense that, oh, I can correct my balance. There's a tendency to roll forward and back. So find your balancing point towards the front of your right hip, and then bend up your left knee and place your left foot on your right thigh. Knee up towards the ceiling. Right? And then the last stage here, and you can do this either holding along your leg, your ankle, or once again, I've got my big toe, and I'm going to unfold that leg and extend my leg up. You do happen to roll forward or back, then come back directly into the pose. Good. And then fold that leg down, left leg to right leg, and then switch sides. In that usual way that happens in yoga, one side can be easier to balance on than the other. So see what happens here on the left side, and left elbow bent, cradling your head into your left hand. Good, and going slowly. When you're ready, right foot, left thigh, and then your foot's close enough to hold your leg, hold your ankle, hold your big toe, and extending the leg up. Good. If it feels like you're wavering, you're wobbly in the pose, notice what's happened to your breathing. Relax your shoulders. It's possible to relax your shoulders here. All right, and then folding that leg down, beautiful. And let's go back to the original side and have another go at this. What you might do here is when you place your head onto your hand, your elbows bent there. Bring your right armpit a little closer to the floor by extending your elbow out further. And then bending up your left leg. And even here at the beginning with the leg still bent, switch on your buttock muscles. Feel the buttocks firm against the back of the pelvis. And then extend up the left leg. So those glutes working to keep you towards the front of your pelvis, towards the frontal hip bone. And then turn your head and you might look up at your hand. It's a really nice lengthening through the back of your neck on the side. And then gently folding the leg down and coming to lie on your left side. And here we go, step by step. And once again, it makes a really big difference to use the buttock muscles. And maybe even more so on the raised leg buttock. Can you bring that a little forward? Good. And then turning your head slightly, look up at your big toe, chin up, and then lightly coming down, and right leg to left leg. And then come all the way up to a seated position again and extend your legs out. Back to Dandasana, and your hands back behind you. Do just a little lean forward over the legs and thrusting the chest forward and up. Lengthen the legs. All right. And then let's take the chair position again. And this time have your position lying in front of the chair and your legs up onto the seat of the chair. So I've placed my body lengthening away from the chair, head and shoulders and hips supported onto the floor, arms a little bit away from the side of the body. A pose that we use sometimes for Shavasana, but we're not quite there. We can use this. Yep, you're lying in front of the chair and your hips close to the chair. And I'm close enough so that I can grab the front legs of the chair, but that's not necessary. You could just place your palms down, your arms pressing down, your shoulders pressing down. And then when you think back to the earlier part of the session and we did the bridge pose, we can do the bridge pose here. And we're going to slide the knees in closer, slide the heels in closer to the edge of the chair, and then works really well to hook the heels or the arches of the feet onto the front edge of the chair. And then you can use your strong thigh muscles and buttock muscles to lift up into a little bridge. And coming up, and shoulders pressing down. If you are able to hold the chair legs, you can pull your shoulders under and take more support from the strength of your upper part of your back. Or just press your hands down, press your elbows down, press your upper arms down. Good. In your elevated position, notice if you tighten your buttocks around the tailbone. Separate your feet just a little bit and release those muscles to the extent that you can. Lift from the middle of your buttocks and the outer hips. And then begin to lower yourself down. Think about rolling along the wheel of the spine like a wheel at this point, and all the way down through the lumbar vertebrae to the sacrum. We'll do just one more lift like that. So the feet, the heels forward on the edge of the chair and hooked over the edge of the chair or the arches of your feet. Push in, lift up. And this time around, if you have lifted up to the extent that you can bring your hands onto your upper buttocks or your lower back, that's going to take you towards your thoracic spine, upper thoracic spine, and even your neck. So be very careful here that you're not putting pressure onto the cervical vertebrae. Keep the thighs parallel. And before we come down, you might take a moment and extend one leg up. At this point, with one leg raised, you can lift up a little bit higher through the buttocks. And switching. Keep the chin a little lifted so the front of the neck softens. There's no strain there. And then once you brought the left foot down alongside the right, if you've done that variation, lower down again. And do just rest your legs onto the chair. And feel the support for your heels, your calf muscles, and the thigh bones just suspended between the knees and the hips. Relax the thigh bones into the hips. And because here we're going to move into the yoga relaxation, it might be pleasant for you to stay in this position. If you need any other props to stay comfortable in chair shavasana, what you might need is a blanket for the back of your head or an eye covering. Or if it works better for you to be in the traditional lying out position, lying flat on your mat, take up that way. And for my part, I'm staying here with the chair. Takes minimal effort just to stay here. And after having done any shifting around that you needed to do, bend your elbows and fold your arms and let your hands rest onto your abdominal area. And that's a pretty big area from the lowest part of your torso to your ribs and out to the sides of your abdomen where the oblique muscles are. Just resting your hands there, feel the belly muscles release below your hands and soften into the back of your body. I think of those muscles that we count on for stability, for movement when we're walking or even sitting. In this position, they're able to be like a soft sling that hangs back into the back of the body. And as they release, then release your shoulders too. Underneath your collarbones and out to the tips of your shoulders. Releasing the muscles at the top front of your chest, the upper ribs. So the heart and the lungs have space and the breath comes easily. Leave your hands here if you like, or release your arms out to the side, palms up. Feel the back body supported, and with an attitude of yielding, let go of the weight of the back of the body. Let go of any residual effort in any place in the body. From your head to your fingertips and down to your toes, the whole body at rest. And oftentimes, and for some of us invariably, at the time when it becomes quiet, then thoughts begin to intrude. So stay a little while longer, just because you can. And in this space, take a few breaths where you're more mindful of following the breath from the inhalation to the exhalation. Exhalation back to inhalation. And every one of those breaths bringing you calmness and peace. And now, and in anticipation of moving, bring your awareness to the whole of your body and gently begin to fold your legs in and roll onto one side. In side lying position, you can fold your arms too and hold yourself in a hug here. The Shavasana, the quiet time, is a time for you to nurture yourself. And then slowly come up. Once again to sit. And now would be a good time to sit on a bolster or blanket. Or if you're in Virasana, in the kneeling position, just sitting onto your heels. When we complete the practice in the traditional way, joining hands in front of the chest, take a moment and with your eyes closed and to make the gesture refreshed, to bring life into the gesture of joining your hands, Feel where the hands rest in front of the heart center, and feel into your own heart, in your own goodwill, your heartfelt energy that you fund through doing the yoga practice. And maybe in good posture, again, elevate the heart. Feel it open and receptive, and then bow your head to your own heart. There's an extra dimension of yoga, I think, that happens when we practice together. So here we are in gratitude for the yoga practice and coming together as our little community. Namaste.